Okay, sixth graders. We're going to talk about lesson 1.9, and these are the rules of math. Okay? Properties of numbers, and the rules that we can use to win the math game. Okay? There are rules in math, just like there are rules in soccer, or rules in volleyball, or rules in football. There are rules that you can play by in order to play the game of math effectively. Okay? That's what these kinds of rules are. They're rules that you can use when you are doing a math problem in order to figure it out more easily. That's what these rules are. Okay? So, look at this first one. This one's called the commutative property for multiplication or addition. So this is whenever you are doing multiplication or addition, you can use this rule to your advantage. The rule is that you can switch the numbers, the order of the numbers, and get the same answer. In other words, you can do 5 plus 8, which is 13, or you can do 8 plus 5 and get 13. Okay? That's a property of addition, meaning that it's a characteristic of addition, that you can switch the order of the numbers whenever you're adding, or multiplying. 7 times 5 is the same as 5 times 7. So if you can't remember 7 times 5, maybe you can remember 5 times 7. Okay?
Why is there a dot instead of a multiplication?
The dot is a way of writing multiplication without using the letter X.
Oh, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah, when we get to algebra and we use the letter X, I don't like using the letter X for times starting in 6th grade because the letter X is a variable. It's a letter that stands for a number. Okay? And so it can be confusing when you're using X for times. That's why you're going to see me use a dot for times more often than an X. Okay? Now, in fact, I wish they would just get rid of the X completely for times. Because it would be better if we just started to learn that the dot or parentheses mean times rather than the letter X. But that's just my opinion.
Who's they when you say they?
They, it's like the math world people. Yeah. They're the people that write math textbooks, and they're the people that figure out a lot of stuff on how to teach math and how to do math, and people way smarter than me.
And me.
Okay, so commutative, everyone mirror. Commutative means switch the numbers. Okay, this is the commutative property. 8 plus 5 is the same as 5 plus 8. 7 times 5 is the same as 5 times 7. Commutative. You can switch the numbers around. Okay? Now, the associative property. The associative property says that you can do addition or multiplication in a different order. So instead of doing, if they're all addition, instead of just going from left to right, we could do the ones on the right first and then go back and do the one on the left. It's like 3 plus 4 plus 7. These are all addition. Okay? So, the order of operations doesn't apply because it's all the same. It's all addition. And so, we could either do 3 plus 4 first and get 7, and then add the last number 7 to get 14. Or we could decide, you know what, I would rather add 7 plus 4 first. 7 plus 4 is 11 over here, and then go back and add the 3. That's using the associative property. Okay? The rule that says you can, as long as the operation is all addition or all multiplication, we can switch the order in which we do that operation. Okay? So, mirror. These are parentheses. Now, in associative property, you'll always have more than 2 terms, more than 2 numbers that you're working with. Okay? And instead of 3 plus 4 and then 7, we could do 7 plus 4 and then add 3. We're switching the parentheses. Okay? Switching the parentheses. So this is commutative. Commutative is switch the numbers. Good.
Yeah.
And associative is switch the parentheses.
Makes sense.
Okay? All right, take a look at your assignment, that worksheet I handed out.
Is this going to be graded or?
Oh, it will be. As soon as we get to our review sheet. So, number 1. Name the property shown. Name the property shown. Number 1. It says 31 plus 29 equals 29 plus 31. What have they shown? Is it like this one or like this one? Eden?
Commutative.
It's commutative. The numbers are switched.
So do we write commutative on the line?
Write commutative on the line. Yep.
Why are there commutatives?
Is this commutative property of addition or commutative property of multiplication?
Addition.
Yes. Commutative property of addition. So write commutative property or commutative prop. You can shorten that with period. Of addition. And here's the word addition. Okay? Now, number 2. This is a property we haven't looked at yet. This is more on the associative property. Aha! Look at this one. Identity property. Identity property.
Let's write this down.
Yep, this is 0 property. Here it is. The 0 property of multiplication. Any number times 0 equals 0. So look at number 2. 41 times 0 equals 0. That's the 0 property of multiplication. Maya?
Is this what we're supposed to write down in the notes?
Nope, you don't have to write this down yet. I'll tell you if you have to write it down. 0 property of multiplication. Number 3. Read what it says. 4 plus 6 plus 21 equals 4 plus 6 plus 21. Are those numbers switched around?
Yeah.
4 plus 6 plus 21 equals 4 plus 6 plus 21. Are the numbers switched? Or are they in the same order? They're in the same order. So it's not the commutative property, because that switches the numbers around. What is moved? What is different on the right side versus the left side? Katie?
Associative?
Yeah, the parentheses are moved, so it's the associative property. Remember, the associative property has, instead of doing the one on the left first, you can do the one on the right, and then do the other addition. So this is the associative property of addition. Of addition. Number 4, 15 times 1 equals 15. Any number times 1 is equal to the number. Any anything times 1 is equal to that. Mr. Motsky times 1 equals Mr. Motsky. That's my identity. That's the identity property of multiplication. Any number times 1 equals that number. So this is number 4, identity property of multiplication. There's also an identity property of addition that says any number plus 0 equals that number. In other words, if you add nothing, you still have what you started with. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think, yeah.
Yeah, if you add 0, you still have whatever you started with. That's the identity property of addition. How about the last one? The last one says 2 times 5 plus 2 times 2. 2 times 5 plus 2 times 2 equals the same as 2 times 5 plus 2 in parentheses. That one looks a lot like this. It's called the distributive property of multiplication. Number 6. The distributive property of multiplication. And what it says is that if you have two numbers that are being added in parentheses, and then there's a number outside the parentheses that's being multiplied, you can get the same answer whether you add first and then multiply, or you could multiply first, which is what these arrows show. 3 times 4 plus 3 times 7. It's the same as doing 3 times 4 plus 3 times 7. Okay? It's 3 4s and 3 7s added together. Or you can do 4 plus 7 and then multiply it by 3 and get the same answer. That's called the distributive property of multiplication. It's distributing that 3 times to each of the numbers inside the parentheses. So you'll see that by, on your sheet, one side is multiplication with addition in parentheses, and the other side is this number that's multiplied, being multiplied by each of the numbers inside parentheses. Go to the back side and see if you can find one like that. Do you see any questions on this side that are the distributive properties? See if you can find in numbers 1 through 8 anyone that looks like this. Caden? Number 7. Yeah, look at number 7. 4 times 6 plus 5. Here's what I want you to do. Write that out. Actually, it's already written out for you. Here's what I want you to do with it. 6 plus 5. And I want you to take your pencil, put it above the 4, and draw an arrow to the 6. And then put it in the same spot. Danny, follow along. And draw an arrow to the 5. So it looks like that. What that means is 4 times 6, which is what it says on the other side, plus 4 times 5. Oops, 4 times 5. Now, what property is this? Raise your hand. What property is this? Maya?
Distributive.
The distributive property. Yep, distributive. Distributive property. Which one is the zero property of multiplication? Which one is the zero property of multiplication? Jacob. 8, yes. 8 is the zero property of multiplication. There's another one. Which other one shows a zero property of multiplication? Aiden?
Number 1.
Number 1, yep. How about the zero property, the identity property of addition? Identity property of addition, meaning that if you start with something and you add 0, Bethany? Number 2, yep. Which one shows the commutative property of multiplication? Which one shows the commutative property of multiplication? Devlin?
3.
Number 3. A times B is the same as B times A. Number 4. What property is that? Aiden? Yep, associative property of multiplication. Yep. Okay, for your homework, I want you to do 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you'll fill in the number for n. Then, in 9 through 12, try to use one of the rules that we talked about to solve those problems.